Hey, what's up, everybody? Gene Fetty back at you with another episode of the All Access podcast from the Automotive Appearance Institute, even sporting one of my AAI shirts today. Sorry for being a day late. I've been on a crazy run of busy, to say the least. So it is Monday, July 21st. So it is the Monday after Hail Expo weekend, which is the weekend after the Canada GPR PDR competition weekend. And episode 41 is just running a little bit behind. So I wanted to come on and, by myself, talk a little bit about the GPR PDR competition. Last episode was that sort of behind the scenes run and gun nightly check-in. Have had some time to process now, and wanted to go over that. Also, wanted to talk about the Hail Expo. Great event. We wish we would have had some more people that RSVP'd show up, but what are you going to do? We still were able to capture the live stream, so we will talk about that and where you can go to find that. And I've got a little bit of a small tool haul from the Hail Expo. Figured we could do a little bit of a tool talk because you guys seem to like that, and what Dent Tech doesn't like to talk tools. So I don't know that it'll be a very long episode, but I did want to hop on and get another episode out, trying to keep up on this weekly schedule and keep you guys entertained and informed. Whew. So anyways, the GPR PDR competition at Cam Auto. First off, maybe it's second off because I think I've already said it. Hats off to Charles and his team. Man, they did an amazing event putting this together. I've even talked to quite a few attendees and some of the other competitors. And for the first run, man, Cam Auto really did it right. They did a great job. And man, Charles made us work. So I've seen a couple of videos since the end of the event that came out. So PDR Original has a great video up on his YouTube channel, and our buddy Martin Sadler, Dent Remover, has a great long form video, more of the event, and you get to see a little bit more than I showed. And really, you get to see some of the struggles, man. Like, these dents were ridiculously hard. I think in watching Martin's video and thinking back to my video, I think we were both sitting in pretty good shape on Saturday, at the end of day one. And then, really thinking we were going to come in and do cleanup on day two on Sunday. And then the cleanup was just incredibly difficult. Like, it was super hard damage. So I want to talk about my dent. Now, I think we all knew we were in trouble when we saw that Miroslav was signed up and was competing, right? Miroslav's a stud. He's placed and I think even won some other competitions. So big hitter and a competitive technician, right? He's done competitions before. I've never really done damage in a competition like that before. Not that I succumbed to second place before I started, but I knew Miroslav was if I were making bets, I would have put a bet on Miroslav for first place. And hats off, amazing repair. I heard that it was like damn near perfect, and certainly what would fall into perfect there. So congratulations, Miroslav. And then, I think I may have been a contender for the second place, the first runner-up. And I'm not saying I get third. Nobody knows what the positions were, right? It was the first and second place. Let me give you the real playthrough and what I think happened with my door and where I ran into some problems. So if you think back to last week, I showed you the before and everything like that. The outside structure of the door wasn't damaged. It wasn't wrecked. Like, we didn't get into the frame of the door. Upper brace at the top of the door was definitely affected, and in fact, shoved down and away. like you would have put a door on this if you were in a real scenario. Crash beam was not bent, not affected. So structurally, the door was as sound as could be, sound enough to repair. Moving through Friday, was really happy with how it unfolded. Really happy with how clean I was able to keep it. That was part of my goal, was to keep the repair clean and get to Sunday with like just detail and cleanup. And that's what we came into. So on the door, you've got your upper body line and then the main big body line in the door. Below the main body line in the door is a concave. I'm sure I spoke about it in the other video. I'm not going back to look. Concaves are weak. Concaves are difficult to push up. I knew those were going to be problems. Came into it Sunday for cleanup, working. And I had this like, maybe not hand size, but like three fingers wide, 3 fingers tall area that was low down from the body line, like moving down the door in the concave. And that area was just rigid. Like I was fighting to the point where, like, I guess like here's a tech tip. When you have metal that's displaced, that's fighting you, that is the metal telling you that there's something else somewhere going on that's causing a problem. A couple of people walked up and they were like, hey, do you think it's stretched? Definitely wasn't stretched. It was a displacement issue. So I worked through Sunday into the afternoon. We were still in the tent before the like monsoon rains came in. And I was cranking. And I finally got to the point where that concave gave up and it flipped up and made this big high spot in the concave. At first I thought like I messed up. I thought I split the paint even worse. But you know, like stood up and looked at it. It was okay. While that was inside out, right? So picture a big high spot in the concave. I was able to, essentially because that now creates an outward tension, I was able to go around and pick up all my additional lows in the concave around that big high spot. And the metal was moving and working up the way it's supposed to. Now I sort of like, air quotes, for those of you listening, locked into getting that to flop up and not cause more problems. Worked it up, worked those lows, knocked it down, and then at some point after that, before 4:30, the monsoon rain hits, and there was like a 20-minute pause for everybody, like a timeout, and we moved inside and set back up. Worked through there, and then my plan was, unlike like the Den Olympics or the tag team events, we're able to wet sand and polish and like really like it was anything goes to make this metal as flat as possible. So working through, I liked how the below the body line, I'm going to call that the bottom of the door. I liked how the bottom of the door looked. Some more detail on the top of the door. Worked that. My plan was to about 4:30 get my wet sandpaper, block everything down, polish it up, and then that would leave me enough time that if I ran into other issues, I could come back and detail those out and make it look good. So 4:30 comes along, get my sandpaper out, block it out, sand it out, polish it up. It looked so good at that point that Danny and I think Steph and Eshy, they were both kind of like, dude, are you done? Like, are you happy with this? And below the body line, I absolutely was happy with, like, especially for the way I fought that low back and forth. I looked at it and I'm like, I am pretty happy here. But when I looked above the body line at the top of the door, I could see a lot of lows that were sort of running parallel with the body lines of the door, right? Like, so we've sort of been working perpendicular across the door. I was able to see some lows, and I've got good access. And by this point, Miroslav is already done. And I don't know if Memphis was done by then. Somebody else was done, like 2 competitors had already been like, hey, we're done. So I knew that if they stopped, they were really happy with their doors. So in looking at it, I was like, well, I better do some more, right? I better tighten this up more, I better detail more. And I sort of told myself that like I wasn't going to stop and settle at good enough or at like billable. I wanted to push as far as I could, as long as I could, and really I had until 6 o'clock. So there's no reason to stop early if there's anything if there's anything that I'm unhappy with. So top of the door, right? I've got those, let's call them horizontal lows. I'm like, great, below the body line looks amazing. I'm gonna clean up the top of the door and we'll be good. And nothing was bad. Like it literally was detail work. There was nothing above that body line that had me scared or even concerned, like, what if I make a bad push? What if I make a bad knockdown? Nothing like that. I was really ready to get after it and clean it up and call it good. And I was feeling pretty good with looking at what my door looked like. And again, I didn't really study anybody else's work, but certainly walking back and forth to the restroom or going to get a drink, like glancing around, I was happy with where I was at. Clean that up and really concentrate. Like I took one of the Illuminate X Factor pocket lights and put it above the body line, and I was knelt down on the ground looking essentially what would be down the door if it were on the car, but I'm looking up at the light, sneaking through the holes in the brace, cleaning all of that up, knocking down some highs, and I get all of that laid out. I'm super happy with it, right? It looks even way better than before. And then I walk away, obviously exhausted at this point. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna use the restroom, get a drink of water, and I'll come back and look at the door with fresh eyes. And like, I'm thinking I'm done. So I come back and set the light up and move it back. And son of a gun, not the words I actually used, but like, son of a gun, that freaking low in that concave below the body line that I fought is back, and it's like as bad as when I started it. Like it completely reversed itself back in. Switch into a little bit of panic mode, right? Grab my Big Bertha rod that I'm sorry, I don't remember your name. Somebody let me borrow a Big Bertha rod that like saved my day and more importantly saved my shoulders. So I get back in, pushing and back in the light up and looking. It was just being springy, like it did not want to give up. It didn't want to move. And like maybe not down to the wire, but pretty close to down to the wire, 5:40, 5:35, 5:40 with a 6 o'clock quit time. I looked at it and I felt like my only option, if I'm going to push it, is to try to flop that inside out again, right? The way it flopped earlier in the day. But now I've worked it significantly more. I've already wet sanded and buffed. So like getting potentially thin on the clear. It was a Hyundai door, so potentially thin on the clear. I shrunk it, like I got it flatter, but not as flat as it was before I went and reworked the top of the door. And I made the call that like, we've got 20 minutes left. I can't afford a major error at this point, right? Like, and the door still looked good, but that low, like, drove me crazy. And I decided to pull the ripcord because I didn't want to, like, everybody had been walking around and they saw that like, we didn't lose any more paint, that chip at the top and the chip on the main body line. We didn't lose any more. I wasn't willing to split the paint open and have a bigger paint failure with the idea of getting it flatter. Like I just couldn't wrap my head around that, and decided to pull the ripcord and call it like, this is all I got. It's as flat as it gets, and it's up to the judges now. Obviously, it wasn't enough to place, right? Memphis, earned for sure that second place. I'm sure his repair was amazing. Um, I've never seen anybody work harder than Memphis worked that whole time. Like the amount of energy and effort that he put into it, like, dude, hats off. Hats off to all the competitors. Some amazing repairs. Even, Martin, go watch Martin's video on YouTube. Um, Amazing repair for what these were. Pablo's was like incredible. Vladimir, like, just hats off to everybody that competed. So here's what I think was going on with the door and what happened. So, like I said a few minutes ago, that if the metal doesn't want to move or doesn't want to go where it should go, that should tell you that something is wrong. Well, still the perimeter of the door was good. Like, there were no obvious perimeter problems. Like, if we were able to put it back on the car, I don't think there would have been any alignment issues. Like, it was the back door, like door to quarter or door to door. I think that was all straight. I believe that the top of the door, right at the window frame, I believe that was straight. There was no kink or anything in there. Even my kink that was at the top of the door originally did not go up and curl into like the very edge of the door. Like, it stopped short of that. So I believe that was good. What I think the problem was is the main body line on the car, on the door. I couldn't see exactly where it should be because the car wasn't there, right? The other side of the car wasn't there for me to look at, or even the other door to compare, like this back door to this back door. Like, I couldn't, it's not there, you can't see it. If that were a real repair on a real car and I were looking to see what was going on, I would have bolted the door back onto the car and closed it to get that line of sight of like body line down the quarter through the back door that I'm working on into the front door. I think if I had to guess, and of course hindsight is 2020, if I could go back and get a little bit of time on the door, I think I would have tried maybe a block of wood or something across the body line and then smack it with a hammer. I think, and again, in hindsight, looking through and thinking through the day, I bet that body line was just ever so slightly proud. Like over pushed, like there could have been a little stretch, or because there was no paint for me to see the reflection right at that impact point, could have been not like a point high, not like a high spot that you would have been able to catch a reflection on, but like I believe an area of that body line was just ever so slightly high, which added a little bit of tension to the concave below it, right? Because the convex body line is a lot stronger than the concave metal next to it. At one point, we had laid a straight edge across the door, and it laid straight for the most part, but did sort of peak in the middle of the door. Our best guess at the time, the consensus was, no, we think it's straight. And if you stuck your eye down along it and you looked down the body line, it looked straight. There were no obvious kinks, but there was something going on in that door that, like, back to the old strongest to weakest, deepest to shallowest, something in that strongest wasn't correct, and it was creating tension in the door. So I think that ultimately, if there was an error or like the what's the one thing that I would think like caused me to not make the podium, I think it was something going on with that body line. But honestly, it took me well into the next day. I think me and Danny were sitting at breakfast at the airport, sort of like recapping and talking and thinking, and that's, my biggest flaw on the door, besides the broken paint that was there when I started, was that low below the body line. And I think that, if there was something that really hindered my scoring, it was that low, and it is what it is. So, like, what are you going to do? I gave it all. I gave it my all. It really was an amazing repair. It was an even more amazing experience. And I saw that Charles announced next year, May 15 and 16 is the event. And if I read it correctly, there were two competitions, the Smash like we did, and a GPR only competition. I for sure am getting the details on that GPR only competition. I'm packing my bags and my glue pull gear, and I'm headed back to Canada to claim a title. That's, man, I want that. I want that bad. So I'm excited to see what the mad scientist Charles has in store for us. But yeah, check that out. So that's a little wrap on the GPR PDR competition and a little bit of a breakdown after the fact. Hail Expo was a great event. So we were at the Hollywood Casino in St. Louis. It was a nice short, I think it was less than 15 minutes from the airport to the hotel. It was great. Setup went well. The networking event was great Friday evening. We had quite a few technicians that are working in the area pop in and visit. It was great to see the tool companies. And Anson was there, VIP, Finesse, AirPro, Dentcraft, Kiko, Mobile Solutions. The blow up tent guy was there. Awesome to see everybody. Good networking event. Great vibe. Like the vibe of the whole weekend was like these small, intimate groups, even obviously smaller than like the PDR Expo. Great to sit down and have conversations. Go get some food together, get some drinks together. It was nice. And then the event on Saturday was great. A long day, man. Like I think I got down there at 7:30 in the morning to make sure the live stream was set up. With the live stream was free, we sponsored that. Got all that set up, got our audio set up and good to go. The show started. Oh, excuse me. I'm tired. I'm in a long run, man. And I've got a 20 group meeting after this to go for another 2 hours. Anyways, we started with Noah. Hebert from DenOps coming in and giving a great presentation on sort of how they handle claims, what that whole process looks like, some claims advice, everything like that. Great presentation. Then we had Paul Corden come on after that, talked with, like anytime Paul's talking, you're learning something. Talked about how to deal with body shops, how to help them flow, gave some great tips and techniques there, some other ways to make money on cash outs, how to make money on total losses. It was pretty fantastic. Then I was up and had a great talk on marketing. Really, you can relate it to any business, but talk about some serious tactics for going after and educating potential customers and building out a good funnel for hail marketing. How to use reviews. I was really happy with the talk. I haven't done a marketing talk in, it's been a few years. And it was really cool to get back on the marketing horse and talk, right? Throwback to the Marketing Minute. Then we had Josh from AirPro hop up and talk about scanning and ADAS and when and what kind of things can require calibrations or at least tests, and dynamic where they're actually driving on the road to make sure it works, and static using targets and everything. Really an eye-opener to just how complex these cars are getting today. I believe we are switching over to our more involved claims with more involved teardown. I think we're going to switch completely to AirPro for the scans to make sure we've got the right documentation to put safe cars back out on the road. I think there's going to be more and more calibrations needed, even with just basic teardown. They talked about like if you disturb a bumper or disturb like a mirror on a lot of these cars, calibration is warranted and needed and justified. So pretty fascinating talk there. We broke for lunch, came back, and I think it was Doc Crandall was up next with the talking about taxes and how to protect your wealth, different ways you can invest and move money around to hold on to more of the money you make, right? I guess it's not what you make, it's what you keep. Is a saying that hits me in the feels and makes you want to save harder, right, and spend less, be smarter. And then we had Jay Jokums come in and talk insurance. Man, just the discussions that we've had post his presentation is pretty cool. He's going to be getting a lot of calls for looking at insurance and making sure our coverages are right, and seeing if there aren't some ways that they can write policies that can protect us but save us some money. Like it's having a big operation like this, our insurance bill is through the roof. I would love to go back to the days where I was bitching about $2,000 a year for insurance. Man, spoiled. Anyways, really, really great information there. Then we had Noah come back on and talk about some more claims and go even more in depth there. And then we sort of wrapped with Derek Klein from Hail Trace. That dude's a freaking maniac. Like some of the footage that he had from chasing storms and seeing hailstones and tornadoes, wild stuff. Some great insight into how Hail Trace works and how they track the storms and all the meteorologists they have on their team. And I mean, it was wild. It was a really, really cool event. The whole day was awesome. So, right, like, check out the recording. We will have the recording. Katie is actually working tonight through that window and is in the process of editing to get that uploaded and onto the website. So keep an ear out for that. Hopefully by next episode, I will have a link for you to where you can go check out the recording and watch the whole thing was like 9 hours long. It was a long, full day with lots of great talks. I think we had 10 talks through the whole day. Yeah, 9 speakers, 10 talks. So 10 seminar level presentations. Got to check it out. Now, some of the fun stuff. So at the show, at the expo, I scored a few new tools. I have a one in the world piece from Anson, but you're going to have to wait till the end to see that. So I'm going to start with over here. So last year, maybe 2 years ago, we had an event here in Pittsburgh. Bonnie from Finesse came up, and I got a set of these little 1/4-inch tools. I think she calls them cherry poppers or cherry poppin' daddies or something like that. So I've got 2 straight ones that I use all the time. Added this bad boy right here, a short little double bend kick to my collection. Give me a second and I'll tell you the number because everybody wants to know the Finesse number. So this is the 450W. I would call it a little over a foot, maybe 13, 14 inches, double bend with her end that takes a cherry cap from the R4. Man, these are awesome little tools. I had to add this one to finish my collection off. Killer tool. And then I got this nice little guy, a 59W, 54W. Oh man, it's a 59 or 54. Anyways, 59 or 54W. Nice little double bend, interchangeable tip, but I believe this is just a 3/8 diameter tool that'll still take the standard screw-on heads. Fantastic. 2 of my guys have these, and it was one of those ones on the hit list to go get, and I got it. So great tool, and man, Finesse makes some killer tools. I love the drive they have in their steel. Handles are great. Yep, good stuff. From there, my buddy Peter at VIP picked up one of his wooden paddles. He has added, it used to be leather and wood. I know it's a small change, but you know, in dealing with a stinger, small changes matter. He put a rubber on the other side to dampen the sound. He said since he started, well, that's the wood on wood. He said since he started doing this, he almost strikes exclusively with the rubber, and it is super, super quiet. It's a, hear that difference? Wood, it just completely dampens out that strike. So, all right, I've been a paddle guy for years. The new VIP with the rubber backer. All right, that's going to be awesome. And it is, I mean, look at that thing. It is freaking beautiful. Look at that. I don't know what kind of hardwood that is. That is a wild grain pattern there. So that is awesome. And I love the ball on the back. Right, reminds me of my Stinger. Excellent, excellent tool. I also had his, I think it was his original hole straightener that I finally broke. And I wasn't going to buy one of these until it was time, but I broke it. Picked up one of his great hole straighteners. Love my Stucky, love my Kiko, loved my old VIP. This one is nice. I like that you get in there and you just pinch or squeeze and turn the head around and it gets in there. It looks like compared to the last one, the original one, he really sort of beefed up the shaft and extended the arm or the hook, the foot, whatever you want to call it, extended the foot out. Awesome, awesome hole straightener. And like, guys, straighten your freaking holes. Make it nice. Make the job look good. And then these tips. So these are the, like, call it spiky ball tips to help shrink some of the sharper metal up, sharper damage. And I believe these were sort of an accident. They're cool, man. They're like rainbow colored. These are cool enough to just leave on my cart and not even push with them. So I got two, I don't know, like, call it longer ones, two different radii, one domed up and one pretty flat. And then I got two balls, big ball, probably not quite 3/4, maybe 5/8 around, and a nice little 1/4 inch one. Excited to try these out, and they are a hard metal. I think he may have even said these are titanium. But anyways, really cool looking rainbow tips. Pretty fire. And then from VIP, I got a backup. If you guys don't have this, like, just go to VIP PDR Tools and order it. I have my original one of these that I got from Peter when he was testing them out. Leverage chain and hook. It's simple, right? I understand, like, you can go to Lowe's or get it, whatever. These are heat treated just right. 3 different hook sizes, so you can sneak in all different kinds of holes and get great leverage. And it comes with this, I believe he calls it, this is pirate hook. This is great for like quarter panels hooking into a hole through a taillight, or even doors. I'll sneak in like a carrier plate door. Could have used this in Canada now that I think about it. You can hook up through one of the carrier plate holes and then sneak in and use this as leverage. It's not very expensive. Like, I don't remember what it was. There's no price on it. Anyways, this leverage chain is amazing. I thought I lost mine a month or so ago, and I was freaking out because I hate losing tools. I just bought this one to put it in the bottom of my cart and forget about it just in case. But this thing is money. I've been cold gluing like a mofo this year, and with cold glues getting better and process for cold glue getting better, pulling smaller and smaller, picked up the VIP Cold Glue Micro. It's 3/8 of an inch across. Can't wait to load that up with a little bit of Sergio's Gold and go after some small dents. and just murder them. So VIP cold glue 3/8 micro from VIP. And then shout out to Danny for helping me in Canada. He also brought some of these up, and I think I had a set years ago and wore them out and just never, actually didn't have a set. I think I had two. I did have two. I had these two leather tips, the leatherhead set. I had these two years ago and wore out, broke off the leather, and just sort of, I just never reordered them, which is dumb. But anyways, Danny brought me this. It would be the second from the smallest, the 13, probably 13 millimeters. Yeah, 10, 13. Danny brought the 13 millimeter up to Cam Auto, put it on a shock blocker for me. Man, I forgot how good these things freaking knock down. So when I saw Peter, I'm like, give me the whole set of 4 leather heads. That leather just moves so freaking clean. Anyways, awesome, right? Like back to like what's old is new again. I remember when I started using leather to push and knock down with back in the day. It worked great, and then you sort of stop using it because you try something else that's great and you forget about it. Leatherheads, that's it. Now, from our buddies at Anson, Craig was there, and he had a couple beautiful, you guys know I love these freaking shock blockers, right? Like, I have a problem. I definitely am in the lead now. I got 3 new ones this weekend. So I think we might be in the teens. Anyways, these two, the orange and the blue, I believe are a new coating process on the aluminum, so it doesn't get chipped off and beat up like the other ones. And even if it does chip, I don't care. Like, these things are badass, and I love them. And I added an orange and a blue to my collection. Little AAI shout out, orange and blue. And I think that this orange one is an X4, so that's the double spring. We talked about that on the Tool Talk. Like, pretty cool. I'm not going to rave about these anymore because I've raved about them a ton. Just go buy them. If you don't have them, get them. If you don't have multiples, buy more because you don't want to waste time screwing in different tips. Like, these shock blockers are great. But I told you, you got to wait to the end. Bros, broettes, dudes, dudettes. This is like, Craig had this sitting there, and I think it was sort of a mistake. He said he was trying to talk to the manufacturer for shock blockers, like the actual machine shop, and he's like, I want a stainless one. But what he meant was, this is aluminum. He wanted a stainless shaft, right, through the, whatever this is, plastic, carbon fiber, through here, right, just a stainless, little heavier. Well, they didn't understand what he meant, and they made, are you guys ready? Like, if you're not watching the YouTube video and you're just listening, go over to the YouTube video, because this is like a piece of jewelry. Craig, thank you so much for thinking of me. Like, I will cherish this one forever. Look at this. A completely stainless, one of one shock blocker. This thing is heavy. This is like, so I'm a little bit of a watch guy. I'm not like, I'm just sort of getting started in watches. I like watches. What you notice is like, speaking of watches, picked up just a Swatch watch on the Canada trip, right? Little red. Actually, had a battery go dead in my other red watch, and I've wanted a Swatch watch because I'm a kid of the 80s. Anyways, pick this up. But one of the things I noticed is when you pick up like a regular watch, and you pick up a regular watch, right? And you pick up a nice watch, one of the first things you notice is just the heft of the nice watch. Now, Craig's thinking was more heft after, he thought of it after Canada, watching all of us beating on these cars. He's like, maybe we need a heavier duty shock blocker, which is what he was going for. And I think this happy mistake is going to be a bestseller for them. In fact, Greg was cool enough to bring this to St. Louis for me. And like I fell in love with it. And then that was its setup. Fell in love with holding it. And that was its setup. And then came back right at the opening of the networking event Friday night. And he was talking to, it may have been Miroslav. Somebody. At one point, Miroslav saw this. And I was like, Craig, you can borrow this. Like, just don't lose it, because it's mine now, jokingly. And he said, well, if we lose it, it's one of one. He's like, we'll find that somebody will have it. But anyways, it survived the weekend. But dude, look at, this is an X4. So that's probably backwards for you guys, but, deal with it. It's an X4, so it's got the double springs. The heft is like, oh, it's money. Oh, and this is going to be a good fit with this paddle to get a little bit more oomph. Oh, I want to use it. I'm going to use it, but I also want to frame it and just look at it. Like I'm telling you, this thing's like a piece of jewelry. So all weekend, people fell in love with this thing. You pick it up, you want to hold it, you want to use it. I believe these will be going into production, is what it sounded like. But like, one of one, man. This is a special tool. This for sure is my favorite tool of the year. Like, get excited about a knockdown. I know, I'm nerdy. It is what it is. So anyways, guys, there's a little recap. That's the GPR PDR competition, a little bit of the Hail Expo, a little bit of tool talk, because why not talk tools? Anyways, keep an eye out. We're going to have that recording up for the Hail Expo. I may even do a special discount code just for podcast listeners to launch it. We did have a great deal at the show. You missed that. Sorry, you should have been paying attention. Anyways, hopefully by next show that's uploaded. Katie is working out great. Can't wait to do a show and introduce Katie and get a little bit of banter going back and forth there. Get back on the bandwagon with some more classes to come. What do we got coming up? Where are we at? Hail Expo's over. Next up is the PDR Expo, September 19th and 20th in Las Vegas. I believe there's a Texas ABAT show is coming up, the ABAT show. I did not get the dates on that yet, but I caught word through Craig that Christina needs to reach out to me. So we'll get that out and maybe those dates will work. Looking forward to the ABAT show if I can pull that off. Kiko has an open house coming up. I think that's the week after Vegas. So that would probably be like 26th, somewhere around there. 26th, 27th. Check out the Kiko, I think I saw him on the Facebook page. Kiko open house is coming up. And even though we're not filming it, it's still going to be an amazing event. The PDR College Advanced Skills Seminar early notification list is up. I saw Bryce shared it. I don't know if PDR College shared it yet, but go check out Bryce's stuff and get on that list to be the first to know when the Advanced Skills Seminar opens up. I'm sure it's going to sell out because they sell out every single time. Anyways, go check it out. Don't forget, follow us on social media at Auto Appearance Institute across the board, everywhere. Check out our full course catalog at autoappearanceinstitute.com. Thanks for watching. Hopefully, I'm not so tired and don't have such a long weekend, and the next episode will pop out on time. But if not, we'll still get you something somewhere, somehow. Guys, thanks for watching or listening, or hopefully both. See you on the next one.